Hello and welcome to Positive Fandom. I'm your host, and on today's live Sunday brunch, we have our co-host with us as always, Russ Whitfield. How are you today, Russ?
I'm good, thanks, Aram. And how are you?
I'm doing very well. Of course, I'm, kind of thinking about all the different things that have gone on this week. This has been a very unusual week for sure. But I have to
Hey, cool
say
gamer.
that, it's always great to be here with you all. We have Cool Gamer with us this morning. Hello, Cool Gamer. How are you today? And thank you for joining us on the live stream this morning. And we also have Efren Guzman. Good morning to you, Efren.
Hey,
So
man.
nice.
Ah, Mario. There he is, our man. A
Yes,
man in
Mario.
Portugal, is that right?
Yes, he is in Portugal. Mario Lopez, hello. And Russ, hello to you, Mario Lopez. Always so great to see you in the morning. And thank you, Efron Guzman. I certainly do love statements like rules. I love that. That's so great for you to say to me in the morning, and a very positive thing to say, too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Incredibly positive. Mario Lopez says, yes, I am in Portugal. So good morning to you, Mario Lopez. So great to see you all here this morning. Russ, my goodness. Oh, look, we have another guest. Mark Goes Blind Gaming. Oops, I'm late. Hello, everybody. You are not late. You are right on time, Mark
Don't
Goes.
worry, Mark. We were just killing time till you got here. It's all good.
That's right. And I like your name. God knows I've spent way too many hours playing video games, hours that I can never get back, but that's okay. We enjoyed it. It was a great time to do things like that. Um, and so let's get right on into it. Russ, all the things
hmm
that are going on. Obviously, there are some things that were going on this week which were historic. And
hmm
I'm kind of not going to talk too much about
No, I think our what happened at the Oscars was obviously, a huge deal, massive deal. I personally watching it, my breath was taken away. I couldn't believe it. Of course, I'm talking about the Snyder Cut winning fan cheer moment. Thank you very much. And Zack Snyder's
absolutely.
Army of the Dead winning. It was just awesome. Zack Snyder, 2 Oscars, powered by the fans, completely powered by the fans. I tell you what, though. Oh, hey, Camry. Hi.
Hi,
Um,
Cameron
what
Egan, and thank you so much for totally digging my Mandalorian and Grogu and Ren's Tolentino. Always wonderful, and a good morning to have you here as well.
Hey, Renz. Yeah, no, look, man, you know me, I'm a Snyder bot or whatever they call Zachalite, whatever they call us. I was so thrilled going up against the highest grossing movie of all time, the most popular movie of the year, without a shadow of a doubt, Spider-Man No Way Home, coming coming first in both of those categories because this that they they wouldn't allow Zack Snyder's Justice League to be categorized for the fan vote, so everybody just went after then Army of the Dead, and it was a real huge upswell of fan support. You could see the tweets from Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder; they really appreciated it. What shocked me, however, was the aftermath of those wins, those historic wins, because it's the first time they've ever had this category. Category was invented to placate Disney, who No Way Home wasn't getting any Oscar nods, so they put this category in to appease them, and Zack Snyder came along and nicked it. Um, but what I found really, really shocking was the vitriol about this that happened online afterwards. Like, there was so many people, and because I went through the threads on hey Camray, I went through the threads on the usual suspects, comic book resources, oh god, now the name's gone out of my head, movie web, scream rant, and all of that sort of thing. And of course, there's Bloodsport, the best handle on the internet, and hey Keely
Hey,
Chow.
hi,
um
Keely Chow and Bud
yeah, of
Sport.
course,
Good
the Snyder
morning.
fans were, you know, delighted about this. But more than that, there were torrents and torrents of people, you know, these effing awards don't mean anything. It's just a glorified poll. It's just a load of crap. Why are you even excited? We don't care about it. And it was so disingenuous because you kind of know if those movies had not won this, those guys would have been all over it, right? And given given the Snyder fans a kicking. And I didn't get into it because I don't tend to argue with people on the internet because that's a bit tragic, to be honest with you. But I was making sort of commentary on it, and one of the questions I had about this was, why do you hate this so much, and why do you not want something to happen that would make millions and millions of people happy?
Hey, Mikey Lito,
Hey,
and good
Mikey
morning
Leo.
to you, Chips Bewick,
Hey,
both of
Chips.
you.
And it was a question I couldn't get an answer to. It seems to be just sort of done out of pure spite and vitriol. It's like, we don't want you to have this because. So I don't know about that, but look, I was absolutely thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled about that. Yeah, made up, especially, and I'm carrying it with me because I got up early this morning to watch England women in the Cricket World Cup against Australia, and we lost, which was pretty upsetting to get to the final and lose. But hey, they got to the final, I guess. What else is going on?
Well, I
Let's
do
get.
I do kinda wanna talk a little bit more about what we're talking about, and of course, guys, what we're talking about is one of the most incredible stories of the Oscars, which is, the win, for the Snyder Cut fans and for Snyder Cut, for Snyder himself, his movies, purely making, an impression on everybody, overcoming, even overshadowing, Spider-Man: No Way Home, which wasn't even mentioned in the night when you think about it. A film that's made over $1 billion internationally hasn't even seemed to be mentioned by anyone, although one of the stars was in another film and was present at the award ceremony. But of course, Army of the Dead, a film that so many people discounted, kind of made a joke about, a lot of people complaining about. I thought it was one of the most innovative types of, zombie films made in a while, especially since we haven't really seen that much innovation in zombie films recently. And,
I
it
loved
was
it.
it was a very daring take on the idea of the evolution of the zombies, and it's something that really isn't addressed in what was considered or has been a very close number one with Downton Abbey, the Walking Dead series, which was the highest rated drama in the world. The
Mm.
highest rated drama in the world at the time that it was debuted on television, and had such an influence on everything. All the films that have ever come out, Army of the Dead is one of the most imaginative versions of a film that I've ever seen when it comes to zombies. And you needed something fresh, you needed something new. We couldn't necessarily go and think that it was going to be okay just to do a straight up film. Now we have seen revivals of the old classics, but this
Mhm.
was different. This was fun, and clearly the win tells everybody how important and how the genre can still be alive and can still be very influential for a lot of people. There's yes,
And it's an original IP, and it's not based on anything. It's an original story, written for itself, and it's kicked off a universe. There was the movie now about the safecracker. We're returning to the Army of the Dead universe. Yeah, I was thrilled. Someone was, I think it was Chips. We were leading into it, Chips, saying that the massive news from the Oscars, that a huge
absolutely.
impact, and we didn't mention the thing that everybody else mentioned. We were talking about Snyder Cut winning fan moment and
Which
Army of the
is
Dead.
the most
Yeah.
impactful thing because it's what the public wanted. This was
Mm,
the one thing at the entire show that happened the way that the public desired. And it also goes to show you that overall, in my opinion, the way that the Academy votes is just so out of sync with how the public honestly feels about entertainment in general. Well, what do you think, Russ? Do you think that the Academy is even on the same wavelength as the fans right now?
I don't think it has been for a while. I mean, you have to say, with the two wins there, the Snyder fans are organised. they're going to get on and they are going to vote, and they're going to vote for their maximum amount of times that they can vote during a day. They are fanatics, when it comes to this, because they're desperately trying to get a message to the powers that be that this is what people want. This is what millions of people want. Please, can't you? And I've got more to say on that later. Are the Oscars out of touch? I think we spoke about this like before the show last week, didn't we? Yeah, I think they are. I think the lid's been blown off. I mean, I rewatched that Ricky Gervais thing. I'm surprised he wasn't fucking arrested actually for the stuff that he was actually saying to these
Well, he
people.
was
But
speaking the truth, though, wasn't he?
he was
He was
speaking the
not
truth.
lying.
But here's the thing: I watched it again, and he was standing right, like this far away from Mel Gibson, and went up to him and goes, "Hey, Mel, what does sugar tits actually mean?" Like Mel's a big guy, and like he's not known for sort of keeping his temper, and he just laughed it off, right? And then you had that. Are we going to talk about it, Aram? I mean, do you want to talk
No,
about it?
we're not going to talk about it in the
Right.
same way that everyone else is talking about it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but things will be said, and I do want to answer Bloodsport's question because we have a lot to talk about today, guys. There's a lot to talk about. Bloodsport 1 is asking, and okay, I'm assuming he means Russ. Who do you choose as Best Picture of 2021? For me, I would say it's Spider-Man in the theater. In the theater,
Mm.
Spider-Man. For premiering on the screen, let's say a Netflix or a streaming release, Army of the Dead. How about you?
Me, in the cinema. Oh no, Batman was this year, wasn't he? He wasn't last year.
Yeah,
He
it
was
was
this
this
year.
year. Yeah.
Yeah. The streaming, obviously, I'm going to go Zack Snyder's Justice League. That goes without saying.
Okay.
Um, in the cinema, shit. I'm probably gonna have to go with Spider-Man because I'm struggling to think of what else I saw in the
Mhm.
cinema, last year, because it's like, it was last year. And it was pandemic time. So yeah, I'm gonna take the easy option on Spider-Man because Spider-Man was awesome. It really
Mhm.
was good. But obviously, my bias is clear on what I thought was the best
Well, I
streaming movie.
think that the Snyder Cut, if we were going to go by the best DVD release or the most popular, the most successful DVD release or physical media release, the Snyder Cut was on on the list for the top 10 releases pretty much for the entire year when it was on sale.
Yep.
And I believe it's still on the top 20 list for physical media sales continual. So I think that that speaks volumes as to what its influence is. Mario Lopez says the Oscar will not be awarded next year, the People's Choice Oscar, because it was not awarded to Spider-Man. That's interesting. And Kame Egan says, do you think the Oscars telecast is past its prime and should it be put on streaming or not? I think it should be everywhere. I think it should be on regular TV. I think it should be streamed. I don't think
Mhm.
there should be a barrier to people being able to see the Oscars. So I also think they should show it at different times because the time that they show it is kind of even late here where they're premiering it in the United States. They could show it internationally, different places too. I know that sounds a bit crazy, but why not, mix it up a bit? They certainly could use some improvements, in my opinion. Russ, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not anti the Oscars. I think it struggles for relevance. Sorry, Dwayne. Yeah, they were all women. Just to answer that question quickly,
Yes, yes, they
yes, absolutely. There was no controversy on that one. We were well beaten. Aussie girl made a world record run. She scored 170 runs, which is like unbelievable. And there was no coming back from that. We nearly did it. We nearly did it, but we lost too many wickets, and yeah, they won in the end. Um, yeah, I just think that the good things kind of happened in this year's Oscars, by and large, and it got completely overshadowed by just sort of stupidity, and
Well,
it
there
was a
were
shame.
so many shockers that we're
Mm,
going to talk about today,
mhm.
Russ. So, but please continue. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I'm so excited about.
Yeah, but have they? I think maybe there's a bit more onus on the people that are involved in the movie industry now. If they really want the Oscars to be taken seriously, they need to sort of take a step back from and take a good look at themselves and see what they're doing. I think we've probably anyone that watches this has probably watches the Critical Drinker. We've you must have seen that video he's done recently about the death of the movie star, and I kind of, I've been saying that for myself for a number of years. when the mystique of the movie star has gone away, then you realize that they're just professionals doing their job, and they have opinions that you may not necessarily agree with, but they're going to force those views down your throat, and they're going to get on their platform, and they're going to use their platform and all the rest of it. But there's been a sort of equalizer, as the drinker was saying, in that, with the advent and the rise of social media and YouTubers and all that sort of thing, fame in and of itself is becoming devalued. It's not gold dust anymore. It's almost, it's almost like copper in, these days. I mean, you've got Jake Paul and Logan Paul, um, who have sort of crossed over the boundaries from social media stars to the professional or semi-professional sporting arena. And lots and lots of YouTubers that I could think of are making millions and millions of quid. What's his name? V Shred is another one. There's so many. There's so many people making. For Amaranth is one that I heard of and looked up. Thank you for whoever told me about that. That was awesome. But she apparently makes like $1 million a month, or whatever it is, from her various endeavors. So the as I say, the currency of movie star fame is worth less than what it once was. Are the Oscars still relevant? Yeah, I guess so. But this, I like the idea of a fan vote, simply because how many times have the films that us guys like never seem to get a look in. It was almost like sort of they had to give Peter Jackson those Oscars, like, 17, 18 years ago, whatever it was, because of those films were so amazing. But hey Ed, it was almost that it was begrudging, because actually those films should have been winning Oscars all the way through, and not just like everything all at the end of it. They were technically brilliant. It's begrudging. Sigourney Weaver certainly should have won for Aliens, and she didn't, because it's science fiction. So I like the idea that they're going to open this up a little bit more. But events transpired during that show that kind of took the shine off. Didn't take the shine off it for me. I was fucking yes about it. But you got to feel for the coda people, the lady that won the best director, so on and so forth. No one spoke about anything else out of the Oscars other than the fan stuff, which ignited a war on social media for reasons which I just cannot understand. And the other thing that happened, that's all people
Yes.
spoke about.
And we're going to be talking about these other things. Mikey Lito says, first off, let's be clear, there was no actual Oscar awarded. It was announcement of a
That
fan
doesn't
vote.
matter. They won. They won. They won. They won. They won. They won. And that's exactly, Mikey Lee, the sort of shit that was going on social media. Oh no, it's not really an Oscar. They didn't really win. Like, fuck off. Yes, they won. I was really happy. I was really, really happy about it. Not fuck off, Mikey Lee. Fuck off, random
Yeah.
bloke on social media.
Well, Tom Jr. Jackson, hello to you as well. Mikey Lito and Dwayne Oldson. Oh, zombies. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes, zombies are definitely something that hasn't gone away. I was going to mention that in regards to the critical drinkers' comments
Mhm.
about celebrityism and the Hollywood elite and so on and so forth, I did hear what he had to say, and I disagreed with some of what he had to say. And the reason why is because one of the things that he didn't mention, at least for me, the reason why celebrityism is so strained and different now for me is reality shows. And, while social media does exist and people make comments and tweets and things like that, I feel like the reality show is what broke it up, messed it up
Mm,
big time, because you're following a celebrity for 24/7, which has never been done before. Usually that was something that was very rare. You couldn't get access like that. That's pretty much access all the time.
that's interesting.
And
That is
so
it. It's
when you
interesting.
follow, yeah, when you follow somebody 24/7, you're going to see all sorts of stuff. Case
Mm.
in point, Paula Abdul had a reality show,
Did she
and the
really?
woman is just wonderful. Like, she's the sweetest person ever, but the reality show didn't paint her in the best light. And this is a person who's a wonderful person, a wonderful person. And now she has a reality show and it gives you a different impression of her, not necessarily the best impression. Well, if I were a celebrity, I wouldn't be happy with that, but she already signed the paperwork. It's out there for everyone to see. And for perpetuity, she's always going to be represented in a way that they feel she's represented, which may not be the actual person that she is.
Mm.
So I think that some of those representations, and people make remarks all the time. It's true that their publicists don't do that stuff anymore. But when you have this video that's there forever, people are always going to refer back to seeing you do certain things that look like just like everybody else, or seeing you wake up in, in compromising situations. So for me, I feel like the reality show is the thing that messed up celebrityism. Anybody can be on a reality show now. You don't have to have a million viewers on YouTube. Yeah,
No,
like,
this is true. I
anyone can
do.
be on a reality show, and then all of a sudden now, your whole life is exposed, and it doesn't go away. Like what we said before, those things that you want to forget about are always going to come back again. That's not really what I consider quality television, but it's we're stuck with it, and it's not going anywhere. I think that YouTube is a little different. We're kind of selecting what people see.
Mm.
We're not putting on embarrassing moments necessarily. We're trying to improve quality. You and I are trying to improve quality for the viewers because we
I don't know.
respect
I
you
think I'm lowering the tone, but never mind that.
guys. um, and I think it's important that people realize that we're working to make sure this is quality. Where reality shows, I don't believe that there is any bit of quality in any reality show ever made. I think it was made for sensationalism. I think it was made to shock people for shock value. And I also think it was made to embarrass the stars who star in them. And if any time that you're creating something that isn't necessarily a work of art or an experiment for to understand someone for a greater cause, there's going to be these detrimental side things to it. Now, there's a lot of reality show milestones out there, and I respect people who watch them. I watch reality shows. I'm not going to say I don't,
Mm.
but think about what happens when we see our celebrities in a reality show. All of a sudden, your perception of that celebrity is very different, and it's because they're human beings like everyone else.
Yeah, they all
So,
go. They all pee the same way, don't they? The same as us, So it's kind of the same thing. I remember. I think the thing about reality TV shows is that we all say that we don't. I don't watch them, but I don't tend to watch them either. But if I do, I'm like it's basically it's like cocaine, isn't it? Reality TV. It's like you sit there, what's this? Oh, it's just this reality show. Oh, fucking hell, can you turn it off? No, 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 I'm watching it. Oh, okay, fine. And then, oh, hang on a minute. I thought, and all of a sudden, you're into it, and you end up getting hooked. And I'm no different to everybody else. But I used to really love this one called The Biggest Loser, which was a sort of weight loss show, and it was all they had the American one and they had an Australian one and they had an English one, but it was a bit crap. So we did. It wasn't very glamorous. Kind of like the Australian one, they're all on the beaches, and the American one was obviously glamorous because it was in the States. And like in England, it was just like a bunch of fat people in Hull standing in a freezing cold football field trying to lose weight. It just wasn't as good. However, on one of those shows, there was a guy who was representing the United. He had represented the United States in Greco-Roman wrestling,
mhm.
and he'd gotten huge. And this guy had put on way, way, way too much weight, and he entered the Biggest Loser branch, and and obviously he got in on the ticket that he used to be an Olympian, right? Um, and in a shock moment, he just upped and left the show. Like he got down to his target weight because he wanted to go back on the team and compete. And he basically used the show as a crutch to live in a completely disciplined environment where he would have to train. And then he just left. And of course, the people were furious with him, but nothing they could do about it. But he did an interview afterwards, and he said, "You see, the thing about it is, it's reality television. It's not reality, and they are showing you things in a way to." Make the character of the person that they picked on live up to their character. So if you're the dickhead on the show, right, they're going to show you in the worst moment that was his sort of role. I think his name was Rulon or something like that. I forget his name now, but they just showed him in a really, really bad light. And he's, I'm not like that, but no one's ever going to believe it because that's all you ever saw on the show. Whereas you get the really nice person and who obviously has their horrible off moments and rows and fights, but you never get to see any of that. But on the celebrity side, yeah, I think you could be right. I've certainly seen my fair share of celebrity Big Brother and all that sort of thing, but they tended to be not as certainly not Paula Abdul level famous. Certainly not in the UK anyway. So, but I don't tend to watch a lot of it. But if I do watch it, then I'm completely hooked. And I like the really cheap and nasty ones as well. I like Hoarders and I like Intervention.
Yes,
That's
and
really
those are actually good shows, especially if they don't star celebrities.
Mm,
Um, the other thing I was going to say is that I view a lot of the YouTubers who have hundreds of thousands of followers as entrepreneurs, as business people. So
mhm,
it's a business, and it's true that they do use their personality to promote products, but it is a business for them. It's not sort of like they're not acting. So
mm,
I have to ask the question, for example, if you have a job where you're on screen a lot, like a network news person who might be on screen for hours and hours a day. It's
mm,
very different than being a performer, someone who's doing performance art. And then you are going to now shoot their personal life.
mm,
Very different.
mm.
I think, for a lot of the people who have these thousands of subscribers on YouTube, what you're seeing is how they actually are. They're not
Yes.
pretending to be somebody else, and then you're watching their personal life on a separate matter. So
Mm.
that is also something that's very interesting. Mikey Lito says, I'm surprised anyone was upset that Zack Snyder fans stuffed the ballot box as an organized campaign for the
Yeah,
win.
well, we said at the beginning, it completely was. I was just really surprised that, as you said, oh well, it's not a real award, and and it doesn't mean anything, and it's completely pointless, and nobody cares. Why are you so happy about it? That was, and then people were just sort of attacking people for going, oh yeah, great, we won, and then all of a sudden you just had this avalanche of vitriol from like people who apparently didn't care but cared enough to attack, to go and seek out people talking about it on, Screen Rant or Comic Book, and start attacking. It's like we're talking to another. It's so great, we won. Yeah, it's a fantastic. And people, it's never going to happen. You people are dreaming. And it's like, well, why do you care? Like, let us be happy. We're happy. We got a win. Great. Yay for us. Yeah, right. But no, and that Mikey Lee was just the point of it. It was like, well, why are you people so unhappy about this? Why do they not want us to be happy? It's like, why do you
Hey,
care? I don't know.
Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington says Coda was a great drama, and I have to agree with you on that. For sure, it certainly was. And Chips Bewick says the way the popular vote is organized is cheap and feels phony. And Bloodsport one says, Russ, we know you meant Russ, Bloodsport. We love you there. We certainly do appreciate you being here with us this morning. And Gary goes on to say they need to have a robot host, but program with jokes by a comedian.
Mm,
Mary Lopez says Dune, certainly a fantastic show for Dune. They did pretty well.
mm.
Um, yes, Dwayne Oldson. I certainly could actually talk about this is actually one of the topics, Dwayne Alton, that I was speaking to Russ about, having to do with actually the male gaze, but I also want to talk about the female gaze as well, Dwayne Alton, because there's a lot to say about this particular Oscars and, let's say, the lack of male gaze, since there really wasn't as many stars on the red carpet, male and female, who were dressed to the nines, because apparently there weren't enough dresses or suits or proper formal wear
Yeah,
in
you
in
mentioned this that we were
LA.
chatting off the show, right? I couldn't believe it. I was really shocked when I heard that actually.
Yes, apparently, one of the more sadder things about the pandemic is that the number of shops to have fine dresses and glittery things for the stars has been dramatically depleted over the past 2 years. Guys, it's been like 2 years that we haven't even seen a proper Oscar show for people showing up in incredible clothes. And normally, this was the time to hit the red carpet to show what you have. And sadly, we didn't see a lot of that. Unfortunately, when it comes to red carpets and fashions and looks, it wasn't exactly the same as compared to previous years. Um, One person who came in an unusual look was Kristen Stewart, who wore shorts. And I actually
Mm.
like shorts, and she looked good in the shorts, but it was a different look. And
What
she
about
came with
Timothy
her.
Chalamet?
I thought he was trying to do sort of like a flamenco dancer kind of look,
Well, yeah.
because he had like a shorter bolero style jacket, and he was showing his chest. And you know how flamenco dancers, that the men are very they're really hot, and they show they they dance and they flick their hair around, and they want you to see them kind of moving around,
Mm,
and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of sexual. It was a very sexy look for Timothy Chalamet. I thought he looked hot. Now, I don't know if that was the look he was going for, but he did have on like even what looked like flamenco style boots, the those style shoes. I can't remember what they're called, but he
mm.
was showing his chest. Timothy Chalamet was showing skin.
I know,
Um,
right?
I wasn't expecting to see any men on the red carpet showing something like that. So, it was a very interesting thing. However, I also didn't see a lot of the male actors, because I'm a woman who likes to see male actors showing themselves the way that I would have liked to have seen them. A lot of men nowadays are choosing fashions that reflect their personality, like Timothy Chalamet decided to do. But I didn't see anything too much that stood out from the norm
Mm, mm.
this season. The same for the ladies, although Jessica Chastain did look like a beautiful blooming flower in her gown at this particular award ceremony. So Dwayne Olson says the Oscars and Disney, we don't talk about Bruno performance was wrong. And the Latin salsa dancing and the feminine gaze, but not in something appropriate to the third grade party. Now, what he's referring to
Mm.
is in the United States, we don't talk about Bruno is a song that's on Billboard charts 100. It was #1. This song has been the most popular song since Frozen. There are children cosplaying the song, going, "We don't talk." I'm not supposed to sing it, but we don't talk about da da da. Like
Mm.
little kids are on YouTube doing all this stuff. Like, it's a fun, family enjoyable musical that won Best Animated Feature, and not a surprise. And so, of course, they were going to add it to the lineup. This is going to be such a beautiful performance of a beautiful song written by Lin-Manuel Garcia, I believe.
Mm.
And it was going to be a representation of such a lovely kind of bolero sounding song from an incredible animated feature, featuring and celebrating the culture with Latin salsa dancers. And we expected to see, the best of the best. Instead, someone had a great idea to use two specific artists, Grammy award-winning artists, who have made suggestive lyrics like "My pussy is wet, my pussy is tight." These are the people they chose to sing "We Don't Talk About Bruno" with in a performance at the Oscars. And
Yeah.
there were tons of kids up waiting for this. And my jaw dropped. And I'm sure there were parents at home who were shocked to see such a sexually suggestive recording artist show up to talk about "We Don't Talk About Bruno." Like, it was quite alarming. And from what I understand, there were so many disappointed families and children out there. In fact, the performance of the rest of the performers was like just not what it should have been for a lively, fun, provocative salsa song that everybody can dance to and get their groove on. It was nothing but saddening.
Yeah, not it's almost like, wheeling Slayer out to do it or something like that, or Metallica to try and cover that particular song. Yeah, interesting. It's we were talking about relevancy and stuff like that. Maybe they're trying to connect. You can see that they're trying to connect, but as many YouTube commentators sort of seem to say, they're so disconnected from reality that it's difficult for them to do this. So yeah, inappropriate. What's Chip saying here?
Well, he says it's on network TV and no one watches unless there's controversy. It's sinking towards irrelevance. Um, hmm. I think that for many people it's always going to be relevant. As I said, it's needed because this is what they're using to promote movies. And a lot of times, like for Coda, I think someone earlier had said how much they loved Coda and what a great film it is. And it is, for a film like that, after it aired and they won on the Oscar ceremony, Russ,
Mm,
um, Apple TV, which is hosting Coda as a film, and I think
Right.
backed it, had a surgence in views for this film. And a lot of these organizations, whether it's streaming, whether it's a studio, rely on the Oscar shows to help them get to that point. Sometimes even after a win.
You know, it, I just thought of something that I heard during the pandemic. It must have been during the pandemic, actually, and it was Latino slant Paulie, script doctor, and Tom were on Midnight's Edge, one of their live streams, and script doctor and Tom Connors were very much of the view that, it's completely irrelevant and nobody gives a shit, and it's just a bunch of people, and script doctor saying, I've worked in the industry, I know what it's like. And Paulie interjected with a really salient point that actually we haven't even yeah, in America maybe, and in England possibly, but there are so many countries around the world that tune into that it's a huge deal for them, especially the foreign language ones. If they're up for a foreign language one, it's like a massive deal. So outside of our nerd culture, and even perhaps, maybe our Western culture, it is a big deal. And I guess, for that reason alone, it's got some relevancy, because I was quite taken with what Paulie was saying, because I've never looked at it with that hat. So, look, it's not going anywhere, is it? Right? It's gonna happen next year, and even if nobody was watching it, it would still happen, because they do. I suppose for people, you can look at it cynically and go, yeah, it's a bunch of rich people smelling their own farts, and it is. But also, you know, anybody that's tried to make a film or has been involved in film or whatever, nobody sets out to make a bad movie, and it is nice to sort of be acknowledged when you've done good work by your peers. So in that regard, it's they might be multi millionaires, and perhaps some of them aren't very nice people, but ultimately, it's there to acknowledge not only the stars themselves but the technical people. And as you've said, are maybe that should be broadened a little bit. Like we've always speak about the stunt people, but maybe there could be a whole host of these, shows that aren't televised. Actually, perhaps they're not even televised, but for like the best stunt person to get their award and the best gaffer to get his award, or whatever it happens to be. I know you've spoken about this, at length, and you really think it should be, there should be 10 winners and all that stuff. And like, I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, and you make a good point. Mario says, check out Critical Drinkers Lord of the Rings trilogy videos. Critical Drinkers coming up a lot today. Mikey Lito opted to watch Tick Tick Boom for the 8th time instead of watching the Oscars and Coda before he knew it won for Best Picture. And Chip says, I get Critical Drinkers points, but some of them end up wading too much in the waters of sexism and racism. Good points. And uh, the other thing I was going to say is, what does this say? Russ keeps name out of, I'm not quite sure. Oh, duck, hen mouth, LOL. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
All
He.
right. All right. Okay. All right. All right, Mark. Okay. I got it.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if I got that one, but Paul in Long Beach says, good morning to you all. Good morning, Paul, out in Long Beach, California. You lucky man, you.
Uh,
And Chris Egan, I'm sorry, Kamei Egan says, at least the Kardashians are back. That's
mm,
exactly the type of detrimental show that I'm referring to.
Sorry, our Mark there was referring to when one of the actor that had the controversy about him, Mr. Smith, was shouting at the guy on the stage, "Keep my wife's name out of your blah
Oh,
blah
I
blah," blah.
see, I
and
see,
and
I
Chris
see.
Rock's going, "All right, okay, all right." So that was I was just responding in kind.
I see, I see. Gee, yeah. Well, I understand now. See, I don't always get everything. But that's okay because you guys know that I'm somewhat, that happens to me sometimes. And thank you for filling me in, Russ. Cavatino Cavalryman Chase says Kim Kardashian catapulted into fame by being a starfish in bed. Now she has huge amounts of money and just needs to pass them bar to be a certified lawyer. Well, she has gone on with her life and has accomplished quite a bit. And it's true that her sex tape
Oh yeah,
catapulted her to fame here.
I
But
haven't seen her sex tape, to be fair. So, I couldn't possibly comment on the starfish, cavalryman K. So sorry.
Well, to be honest with you, as I mentioned, like in the Hollywood circles, her family was kind of famous. Her
Mm,
father, stepfather was Bruce Jenner, and her mother, were very famous people in Hollywood. So when they said that they were coming out with a reality show, it was under the premise that Bruce Jenner and his family, Bruce Jenner, one of the, let's say, well-known American decathlon winners,
mhm,
and maybe one of the most popular decathlon winners in the United States, at least, was making a reality show. He was a celebrity, and focusing on just the name alone initially, even though the show didn't have his name on it. He was one of the main points of the show that got them to make the show, even though it's called the Kardashians.
mm.
So uh, in regards to their celebrityism, we can certainly say that knowing all the details about them as celebrities has certainly changed our opinions about them and made them seem very different than if we did not have that show about them. And so that's, what I think is very interesting, especially about that particular show. And we can go down the list of all the shows and talk about this.
Mhm.
Certainly, your opinions about celebrities will change once you know what kind of underwear they wear and all sorts of stuff. Like it's going to change the perception of that in a way that I don't think posting on Facebook or Instagram or even on Twitter would.
Mm.
um, Chip says, but YouTube has more problems that the network TV has that I can't read when I'm doing this.
I
We never saw as much of racism and sexism from the fans. You know something? That's a good point. We didn't see how people may have been feeling, they honestly feeling. They said they want you now to express emotions. They want you to cry every minute. Well, guess what? Now we also know whenever people have, these other feelings as well.
mm.
No more hiding that, no more holding that back if it's an inappropriate thing to say. Perhaps it is something to think about when you can
Yeah.
just go ahead and say it.
This is like the perennial battle though, isn't it? Because it's interesting that you use the isms, the isms there, and now it's become a sort of sliding scale of what is or isn't an ism. So, in the old days, it used to be pretty black and white what was racist and what was sexist, and now that scale has sort of gone. Some people would say too far the other way. In which case, everything is racist or sexist, and everything has to have to conform to a certain look and feel, which you certainly never used to. And we've spoken about this on this channel, and other people have spoken about it at length on other channels. No need for us to go into it again, but that's what I was trying to say here is, Chips, there's a sliding scale. So what is racist and what is sexist? Because it certainly used to be black and white, and now it kind of no longer is. Now everything seems to be one of those two things if you sit on a certain part of the volleyball court.
Absolutely. And thank you, Chips, for bringing that up because that is also important. And we're glad that you're sharing your opinions here. Michael Lito says the only reality show he ever watched was The Amazing Race and Bachelor in Paradise. The latter because it was the big thing on Collider Live.
Sorry, Mikey, right? Shit, man.
Yes.
So you fucking reminded me of my secret shame. Oh god. Okay. I actually quite dug 90 Day Fiance. I can't believe I'm admitting that. Oh,
Really?
yeah, yeah, I really liked it. I really
Wow.
liked I used to watch it.
Russ,
I used to
confessions.
we
You're
didn't have it.
turning red, Russ. You're
I know,
turning
right?
red.
We didn't have it in the UK, and Annie put it on when I was in New York. She's, oh, you must watch this. I'm like, okay, and because Annie loves reality TV shows, and yeah, no, yeah. So Mikey, my secret shame, dude. When you said Bachelor in Paradise, I suddenly remembered. Oh yeah, 90 Day Fiance. Yeah, I did quite like that one. Mm.
Yeah, I think, I admit to watching them. Chip says that they cater to our worst impulses more than traditional TV. Absolutely. I've watched it. I've watched The Bachelorette make out with three guys in one night. Why was I watching that? Like why would I be fascinated by this? Because they were allowing her to kiss three different guys in the same night with the promise that she's going to fall in love with one of them. Isn't this a little, what is it like? It's actually might be termed or be somewhat abusive towards these guys. And the same
Mm.
thing for the reverse, it's not really a nice thing to do that you're kissing one guy and there's two other guys who are hoping to date you right in front of them. Is that cool? Probably not, is it? But I
I don't
watch.
know. It depends on if I think, um, and I can't speak for every man, nor would I try to. It really depends on one factor only. Am I emotionally involved with the lady in question? If yes, then yes, you're absolutely right. If no, and she's insanely hot, then it's a result. Or I think,
Well,
she's insanely hot to my eyes, and I don't, it's like,
well,
yeah, well, it's a really nice chick, just kiss me, awesome, thank you. But if I
but
was if I was wanting to date her and I was into her,
you
uh,
do wanna date her because it's a dating show where you're all fighting
oh,
to date the one
oh,
girl.
oh
So
no, that's not
she's
cool then.
there with these guys, and it happens in the reverse. It happens in
Mm,
the reverse, but she could possibly be making out with these guys while you're like, I just I think it's very cheeky to do a show like this. It could have just been like, give her 3 guys to choose from, and then that way, but 15 guys? Come on, come on.
yeah,
Well,
blind date,
we know
Cilla
what we're
Black. Sorry, sorry, it's
we
something from the 80s in England.
yeah, yeah, we know what it means, and why they're doing that because, they're insinuating, yeah, perhaps, it is a bit of a sinful, pleasure, a guilty pleasure. So, yeah. Um, and Chips also says YouTube is also tripped up as a medium because of racism, because the algorithm tends to favor the biases of the creators pretty much. And they have been doing things to try and tone it down. I remember the old days of YouTube, Chips, and I'm sure you do too, where you get on there and some of the stuff on YouTube would be scary.
Mm,
But I think that it's just like any other medium. It's something that takes like full time to try to get under control. And it's sometimes it feels like it's an impossible job. Mike Alito says Coda was excellent. Um, I'm so happy that it won instead of Power of the Dog. Now, I am going to say this about Power of the Dog, and supposedly the reason why Power of the Dog didn't win as many, Oscars is because of the nature of the film, because it wasn't a happy ending or a
mm,
happier ending during a time where people are kind of sad and they want a story that's happier. Coda is an inspiring story, right? A young girl she's a child of deaf adults and she wants to be a singer. Oh my goodness, how is she going to make this dream come true, and it is actually very inspiring, and there's a lot of singing. There's a lot of high school teacher, you've got to sing, you've got to use your diaphragm, like
mm.
it is a lot of fun to watch this film, and the
It's
parents are
interesting. It's like Coda, um, is almost Coda and Spider-Man: No Way Home are almost kind of like the 1976's Rocky for this era when everything was shit. The parallel that we don't have with Rocky was, of course, all the cinema was equally as dour as as what was going on in the world of that in the Western world at that time. And these, feel good. Rocky was a feel good film that everybody just embraced and loved and has continued to love for the past 50 or 40 years. And Coda and Spider-Man: No Way Home seem to have hit on that thing. They're entirely different movies, obviously, but they have heart. That's the thing, isn't it? They have real heart, those films, and yeah. So that was my observation. They're kind of like a Rocky moment.
absolutely, the heart makes a difference, but there was one other element I think that worked
Oh,
against Coda.
sorry, I just saw here Mario's going later.
Oh, bye, Mario.
See you later,
Mario
man.
Lopez, take care, and always great to see you, Mario. Um, and I kind of misspoke. There is one thing that was working against Power of the Dog, and honestly, it was all these articles about the film and what it represented, and they really kind of cheapened the overall message of the film for me.
Mm,
Power of the Dog is a serious film about a lot of different things, a serious nature. It's a sad story. But the last thing it needed was for people to come out and talk about, yes, it's sad, but this is what it represents. And, we're so proud that we got a chance to tell this story. And I'm like, what you're talking about doesn't correlate with what I'm seeing in the film. And nor does anybody else agree with you. Absolutely no one else on earth agrees with what you've said in this editorial. We know The Power of the Dog is a story about a man who had found that he had feelings for this young person and was
yes.
not expecting to feel this way, and he had to deal with this. And it was quite a traumatic event for him because he had so much on the line and so much at stake.
Mm,
And yet, we were presented with other points of view about it, and there's no other way you could interpret the film. That's what it was about. And he has an unfortunate demise at the end. I'm not going to say what happens, but the point is that they couldn't let the film stand on its own. They couldn't just let the film you know play its
B.
role.
Yeah.
Yes, And this was one that you just needed to interpret it the way you needed to interpret it, rather than somebody else telling you how to interpret this film. It's a serious nature. And I think it was a great story, but it was not a feel-good story like
Right.
Code. No way. Hey,
So,
Dog Pound 1, Big Dog Pound 1.
hey, man.
Hello.
So
Were you
talking of
gonna say
things
something?
that are a bit sort of darker, I was going to ask you if you'd seen Moon Knight.
Yes, yes, I have seen Moon Knight. Moon Knight sounds like a lullaby. And mommy, can you read me Moon Knight again? Yes, I can. So, and the night is dark, but there's a moon that shines bright. It's Moon Knight, doesn't it? No?
Yeah, it kind of does, but from what I haven't seen it yet. I must
That's
watch
not
it.
what you're talking about, is it? Right?
It's not what I'm talking about, or no, and I think you know what I'm talking about here. Um, you've seen it, right? The
I
show,
have seen the first episode of Moon Knight.
and what did you reckon?
Well, to be honest with you, it was one of the best productions of a TV show I've ever seen in my entire life. Like,
Hmm.
the look of this is gorgeous. The effects are fantastic. In fact, there's one. It stars an actor who I think this is his best role.
Oscar
Um,
Isaac's a fantastic actor. He wasn't given a lot in Star Wars, was he? But when I saw him in Dune, or Dune as we would say over here, I was mesmerized by that guy. I thought he was the shit, man. He was awesome. So I'm really looking forward. And no bones about it. I don't make mine Marvel. I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but this I wasn't bothered with Winter Soldier. I wasn't bothered with Loki. I wasn't bothered with Hawkeye. This one I'm very very intrigued for, and I do want to talk about this because I heard something recently, and I was so intrigued by this sort of theory and this idea. I think it's coming true. But please tell us more about Moonlight,
yeah,
Moonlight, Moon Knight.
yes. See, Moonlight. Oh, Russ, that's a little romantic of you, Moonlight. You want me to tell you about Moonlight, Russ? I'm
I
just
certainly do. Well, it's the effect you have me. That's why I'm going red. All right.
Woo! But honestly, Oscar Isaac's performance, this is the best I've ever seen him perform.
Wow.
Um, I was blown away by his ability. He Now the character that he plays, they kind of make him seem a little wacky, almost like a Dr. Doolittle, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, but the problem that he's having is that he's not getting enough sleep. He's sleep deprived.
Hmm.
And because of this, it's affecting him. He has some dissociative disorder as well. And you're introduced to this character who seems like an okay guy, good looking guy, pretty much a nice
It's
looking guy.
Oscar Isaac, isn't it?
Yes, a good,
He's
like a
easy on the eye, right?
yes, like, it's like, "Do you wanna go on a date?" "Yes."
Yes.
Like the over anxious yes, like, "Just pace yourself."
Mm.
"Yes, sure." Like, but don't be, like, too eager to say yes, but you want to. And the other thing that stood out about it for me is that he essentially has to play maybe 2 or 3 roles in this one story.
Mhm.
Now, I've seen this in a lot of movies. Usually it's in a movie somebody has to do something like this, or the woman who played, uh something black, what was that called, something black, where she plays a
Orphan
number of
Orphan
some
Black?
yes, Orphan Black, where she had to play like different roles in the same story, and you're kind of like, wow, this is getting complicated and I'm losing track of what's going on. I better pay attention. Well, this is what Moon Knight is like. You have to pay attention to what goes on. First of all, the episode is perfect looking. There are no mistakes. And now there's going to be somebody who's going to find a mistake, but generally speaking,
Mm.
there are no mistakes in this broadcast whatsoever. It is flawless. It looks like a movie level production. And I've honestly never seen a TV show that lives up to this quality. There isn't one. I think this might be the best one I've ever seen. In fact, there's one, and I was talking about this the other day. There's one scene, and you'll notice it, Russ, when you watch it, that's done by a water fountain that has still actually taken my breath away. And I think it was very clever. I don't even know where they even came up with this, but it might be something you would see in a comic book.
Right.
But to try and recreate a comic book in live action to this level of accuracy, if that is what they were trying to do, It was absolutely spectacular. And, I think that the character is someone who you would sympathize with. And Holy Hand Grenades, hello, that's why I have that up there. But
Oh,
I
hello,
think
mate.
if you were to could possibly even try and understand um even just a little breath of what this character is going through, you can't, because he is haunted by all of these things that are going on in his life, including what essentially to me seems like a possession that he doesn't approve of.
Right.
So I have to say, if you like action, you will love this. The story will need to be explained a little bit more. I had to watch it a few times. And also, if you like Egyptian lore, you will like it, at least from this first episode. I don't know how far it extends into
Hmm.
Egyptian lore, but he works at a museum. So if you're nerdy like me, you'll love that. I'm assuming this, framed after the British Museum, because it is told in London. But I honestly have to say, um, I was really impressed with the production of it. Now, I don't know if I totally understand all of it, but it certainly was worth a watch. And I also have to say that I'm not quite sure whether it's hooked me into the next episode, but I'm almost impelled to watch it because I got to really find out what's going on here.
Right.
So I almost wish they had released episodes 1 through 3 or something like that. And I think for the trade, they did release the first 4 episodes so they could
Okay.
get a better understanding of it. But I've only seen the first episode. And value wise, looking at it just from face value, it's incredible looking. It's like it looks like a feature film.
I'm really excited to see it. So let me tell you, I heard a theory, and I was impressed by this theory, and it kind of seemed to make sense to me. You see how Warner Brothers are continually messing things up, and yet Disney Marvel is this kind of like bright and optimistic and happy, happy clappy superhero world that we all love. It, I think, or not, I don't think. I'm going to say I think, but this is actually this theory thing that I saw, and if I could credit the channel I saw it on, I would do, but I can't remember what it was called. It's seemingly that they are preparing us now for a more adult take on Marvel comic characters, and Moonlight seems to be Moonlight. I keep saying Moonlight. Moon Knight
It's okay,
seems.
Russ. We can talk about this later.
Yeah, we can do. I'll talk to you after the show. Um, yeah, Moon Knight seems to be very much part of that, and this theory was postulating that it actually really started in one of your favorites, the Eternals, and it's right at the end. I assume we can talk spoilers on Eternals now, can we?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Eternals except for the part where, as I've mentioned before, Icarus betrays Cersei, because you wouldn't do that to a woman you loved. You just
Mhm.
wouldn't do that. You wouldn't fight her. That's no man. That's just such a bad representation of like a male female relationship. That ain't ever going to happen. So that was my thing with the Eternals. But yes, go on.
So there's a bit in it where the fellow at the end goes to touch the Night Sword. Okay, I think it's called the Night Sword, and you hear someone off camera that is the guy cosplaying as Blade, because he's not really Blade, because Wesley Snipes
Oh
is Blade. No,
yes, yes,
no, I'm being
yes,
mean.
yes.
The Blade's off camera, and he says,
I
you don't really
thought
want
this
to.
was a metaphor for something else when you said Night Sword.
Yeah, no, no, no. It is the night that. No, all right, no, he wasn't touching himself. Or this is a family show. It's not even lunchtime with you people. Come on, talking about his massive sword. Yeah, so he goes to touch his sword, and Blade tells him not to.
Right.
Um, and but now the thing about this is as well, we saw also in the MCU, we had which one of the shows that I think is one of the best shows of all time, which is fucking Daredevil, which was just the shit. As a DC fan, I was crying my eyes out, saying, "Why couldn't have this show been Batman Year One?" Because it was awesome. And now we got Matt Murdock in MCU. Now we've got Blade and the Night Sword. Now we've got Moon Knight. Now we've got Michael Morbius, which everyone sort of came when that film came out. Everyone goes, "Oh shit!" And now everyone's going, "Ah, actually, it's all right." The point being that there was, and if there are more educated comic people on the chat, correct me. There's a series of Marvel Comics, um, which is the Knight, Knight, Marvel Knights. Um, uh, banner, kind of like like DC's Vertigo. DC did Vertigo with Sandman, and it allows them to tell X-rated or R-rated stories. Um, and the Marvel Knights thing is the same thing. So this theory is postulating that now we've got the guy with the Knight sword talking to Blade, who have got nothing to do with each other. Blade was a Marvel Knight. Now you've got Moon Knight, who was part of that team as well. It seems like that they're actually going around the back of DC, who are, are sort of like arguing with each other whether they want to go down this sort of like dark, gritty road or the Marvel road. And Marvel are doing what Marvel do, setting the groundwork, laying the groundwork, teasers here, teasers there, TV show here, to build up to this. Here's your R-rated Marvel movie that you always wanted, whilst Warner Brothers will be eating themselves. And I've got more to say on that if we have time when it comes to to Warner Brothers and what they're doing at the moment. But yeah, so I don't know what people think about that, but that theory seemed to make a lot of sense to me. Um, yeah,
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, Russ.
so yeah, expect
Um,
X-rated or R-rated Marvel soon.
you said
X-rated.
well, you know something? Bear Down Adam says Disney dropped the ball on We Don't Talk About Bruno. I can't believe they had erotic dancers. Yes, they did. And someone was asking, who was it? I think that's what the question was. I think it was either Megan Lee Stallion or Nicki Minaj. And Big Dog Pound One says Zendaya and Zoe Kravitz killed it with their outfits. I agree with that. Zendaya had on sort of like a cutoff top with a beautiful long sequin skirt. The
Hmm.
top was white, like a white silk. And Zoe Kravitz actually looked like Audrey Hepburn at Breakfast and Tiffany's in her
Wow.
outfit. In fact, she was so stunning. I wouldn't be surprised after seeing her in that outfit, they consider her for a role like that going forward. That's my prediction for Zoe Kravitz. I was so blown away by how she looked. It was a beautiful, beautiful pink color. She looked like a gem in this thing. And my other favorite look was, of course, Jessica Chastain, who looked like a blooming flower in her beautiful sequins
To be
gown.
fair, though, any of those three people that you mentioned could have turned up in a trash can liner and they would have looked awesome because they're just stunning, aren't they? They could wear anything they want.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, thank you so much, Kame Egan. I loved Jessica Chastain's dress, and I really liked Jada's too. Jada had such a Gilded Age look, which I thought was beautifully dramatic. I wouldn't place it Gilded Age. I would say more 1960s Breakfast at Tiffany's. However, I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe it is a Gilded Age look, and that's what she was going for. And to let's see, do you see any? Did someone respond to what you were saying, Russ? About the more mature approach, a
I
more mature.
Yeah, Rogue is up here. They can do an R-rated Deadpool first. They have already announced it, but there's no date with that announcement. Yeah, I, I don't know if that would fit in tonally, Rogue, but this is just a theory. It's just something that I saw on YouTube, and I thought, oh shit, man, that makes sense. It seems like a very marvelly move to do this. Not even like kind of on the down low is wrong, but if you can see all their more adult orientated stuff making its way across to the Disney Channel, all these more adult orientated films, Moon Knight being an adult oriented show, apparently Morbius has got quite scary parts in it, and they need to flip the switch, right? Because there is a bit of Marvel fatigue setting in. Kevin Feige is obviously a genius. What are we going to do? Even the fans that started watching Iron Man all those years ago are grown up now. If you were 10 when Iron Man came out, you're what? You're 18, 20 now. You don't want to be watching the same things when you were 8 as you want to watch when you're 20, and so on. So, I, for me, it makes a lot of sense, and I think that's the way it's going to go. I could be completely wrong. They could be completely wrong, but yeah, that's what I reckon.
Absolutely. And yes, let me see what else. Oh boy. I just want to go past here just to make sure I'm getting all the new people who have joined us, because there are a few people who have joined us, and I'm way behind on these comments, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to do everyone, but we were talking about Moon Knight. At this point, Oscar was great in Moon Knight. It looked very good, according to Rogue Thinker. And hello, Rogue Thinker. But I think they went too far in making the character of Steven a total loser. Now, that was something that I questioned about Rogue Thinker, and I'm not quite sure. As I said, I thought they made him seem like he was Dr. Doolittle. It's not a compliment, right? Um, I don't understand why they would do that to that character. Um, I just don't know why. So this is something that I need to find out about. And Tom Jr. Jackson says that he's only signed in for one season. And I wonder if he's even going to come back. And yes, it was Orphan Black. Thank you for that. Why am I not clicking on it? It was Orphan Black, Rogue Thinker, and that does star Tatiana Misalani, who I liked in Orphan Black as well. Um, and Latoya T says, "Yes, I agree. It's a beautiful shot." Hello, Latoya T. I hope
Hello.
you are well. It's so great to see you here this morning, guys. Latoya T, president of Coco Tulip, guys. Please check out Coco Tulip, Latoya T's brand of fantastic garments. I would love to know what she thinks about the dresses and what people were wearing at the Oscars as well. Stubble McShave is with us. Hello, Stubble McShave. Stubble says, I saw that they canceled and delayed Bad Boys 4. I wonder if other in development movies with Smith will be delayed and canceled. Yes, they have been supposedly. I can't remember the name of it, but the Hollywood Reporter did mention that some of the projects that Will Smith was working on, or some of his proteges were working on, have not been pushed through or being pulled back. And I don't think they'll ever be made, in my opinion. What do you think, Russ?
I think if Mel Gibson can come back, anyone can come back. To be honest with you, you
Ah,
know, but I suppose at least Mel had the excuse of being like completely hammered when he got into trouble. But yeah, I think I think Will Smith has to take his medicine. I think the initial knee jerk reaction of anybody that dared to criticize him, was suddenly, an ist, has died down, and those voices have been quelled, and it's like, no, this was out of order. You need to take your medicine, and that's it. I think we were speaking. Room and I were speaking on the phone the other day. We were kind of talking about it. You just can't go around doing stuff like that, and it's no good the Academy saying, "Oh well, we thought about asking him to leave, and we thought about taking his Oscar away, and we thought about this, and we thought, but yeah, but you didn't do anything. There needs to be consequences for this." I mean, look, I know it's like a bitch slap, and nobody really seriously got hurt, but it's just the precedent. You can't get away with stuff like that. You just can't, not in front of millions of people. So yeah, he'll probably um, he'll probably go into the wilderness for a little while and then make a triumphant return in 2026 or something like that.
that's a very good insight. And Toffee20 says the slap represents exactly where Hollywood is right now. Gervais unselfishly spoke to the fact 2 years ago, and Jim Carrey's sobering analysis of Hollywood spineless backslappers was brilliant. Yes. And as you can
Yes, it was
see,
Toffee.
absolutely. Here, when we were talking about what is and what isn't included
Moon Knight.
in a lot of the scenes for Moon Knight, every action scene that is relevant to the story is skipped. We may get those scenes in a Mark's perspective episode. And so, as I mentioned, the character has to play from two different perspectives. And I think it's going to be interesting to see that, but I wish we gotten more. And so does Carme Egan. Mentioned that as well. Latoya T says, I'm definitely hooked because I need to see what's next. How deep does this possession go? How did it begin? Etc. I'm not familiar with that comic, but they pulled me in with one episode. Well, we are so happy to hear that, Latoya T. I'm so glad to hear that
I have a
you are.
question.
Mhm.
What did Rob think of it? Because if he thought it was good, it's probably really good. Because he's as much of a nerd on Moon Knight as he is on Star Trek. So if he liked it, then it's probably great, right?
So, from his perspective, this is not the version of Moon Knight that he was expecting and that he's fond of.
Okay,
So
all right.
that is something very different. I guess maybe it's a different run of Moon Knight that he was a huge fan of. And for what we were offered, for what we were given, he liked the show. But this is not the run that is one of his favorites, according to what he told us.
Hmm.
So, unfortunately, that does happen. Sometimes there might be a run that you might prefer to see, and
Absolutely.
unfortunately, that wasn't the one for him. to answer your question. Tom Jr. Jackson says, I started watching the show Julia on HBO Max. It's a really good show and also kind of made me hungry watching it. Well, it should. Tom Jr. Jackson, my collaborator and the moderator here
The
on
man, the legend.
The Man and the Legend, and we are all goof people.
We are.
Um, and let's see, who else do we have here that had an opinion about stuff? Wow. This is a good point. And you talked about making a more mature version of these films.
They
Chips.
brought that up. What Chips is saying actually on this thing that I was watching, Chips, they brought that up that like the Eternals was the first one to sort of start creeping into a less chaste and more bloody world, if you like. According to this theory, as I say, I'm not a huge Marvel person, so I don't know the history, and and can't enthuse about it in the way that I would enthuse about other things. But this channel was postulating, yeah, that was it. There was actual, snogging, kissing going on, like passionate, real kissing that sort of went on and on and on, and hinting that there was going to be more.
Yes,
Yeah.
and what also was kind of interesting is that there wasn't any actual nudity. You guys, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but and they were making love, and I'm not joking, on a rock. And I have to tell you, I personally have never made love on a rock, but it didn't look that comfortable. But it might be a little different if you are an eternal.
Mm.
Perhaps surfaces don't matter. But I guess if they put it in a bedroom, it might have been too suggestive. Or was it too suggestive making love in a rock in the middle of the desert? I don't know. You tell me.
I
But
don't know, man. It's the movies. I saw Uther Pendragon shagging in a suit of armor. So
that's
if
right.
Uther Pendragon can do it, right, in
And
his
it was
armor, I'm sure they can do it on a rock.
and it was during that famous scene where Uther Pendragon was having sex with I guess with Helen Mirren's mother, right? I don't remember her
Yes,
name. Um, where my mother turned
Big
over to
Rain.
my brother when he was a little boy because he wanted to see the film. She took him to see it, and she famously said, "Knights don't have sex with their armor on."
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Helen Mirren was actually seeing Liam Neeson during the making of that movie, and it was through Helen Mirren that Liam Neeson really got to be the Liam Neeson we know and love, because she was recommending him for lots of parts, and he split up from Helen Mirren. You have to wonder why, because that would be a result. If Helen Mirren, back in the day, if she'd have been my girlfriend, I wouldn't be splitting up with her. That's for sure.
I love that. Lugnut6, Lugnuts, how are you? I'm trying to make a heart and I'm not doing a very good job, but love you, Lugnuts. So good to see you. Good morning to you. And Rogue Thinker says they can do an R-rated Deadpool first. They have already announced it, but no date with the announcement. I'm kind of trying to figure out how they do an R-rated Deadpool because, this is going to be a little different. Will he keep his suit on? Um, I mean, I'm kind of curious about this. Not that we care. If he wants to look, if he wants to keep the suit on, I'm fine with it. If he wants to take it off, I'm fine with it. But we're going into a different realm here
Mm.
because we're redefining what is attractive and what isn't attractive. And we also have to think about the female gaze or anyone who likes
Well,
men.
you're attractive, Aram. I think we can all agree on that. That's how we define. That's how we define attractive on Positive Fandom. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well,
Um,
thank you, Russ.
oh well, I'm only human.
um, okay. Chips Bewick has another comment where he says, what does he say? Take heart, dear Russ. DCEU/WB will be back hard if they go with Justice League. Dark and Swamp Thing from James Gunn.
Yeah, if only it would be James Gunn, though. I mean, yeah, I think Chips, right? There's a place for James Gunn. He's not the DC Sven. What did we call him last week? The Godfather or whatever it was. He wouldn't be my choice. But I think the problem with Justice League Dark and Swamp Thing is bad reboots. J.J. Abrams has got his fingers all over that one, and has just decided that he's going to recast everybody in one of those amazing Warner Brothers decisions. Everyone's going, Matt Ryan is fucking Constantine. Please, can we have Matt Ryan as Constantine? Like the British guy. We just want Matt Ryan. And JJ Abrams has gone, no, we're casting an Asian guy as him, and it's not going to be Matt Ryan at all. So we're going to completely change everything that you love about Justice League Dark and make it a completely new team that aren't the characters that you recognize, know, and love, and that's going to be Justice League Dark, and you'll suck it up. So that was the world that was. Hopefully, in the new Discovery era, a lot of that crap will be going out, and Matt Ryan will be plucked out of the CW and put into this show. And yes, then it will be awesome, and I would love to see it.
And what about Titans? I know it's a television show and there isn't a whole lot of nudity in it, but it does have some scenes of sexual nature.
It sure does. Superboy, Connor, and Blackfire got it on. And now I have to say I haven't seen much of my daughter lately because she's been ill, and then my mate MJ came to stay with me from Canada, and then she got ill, and Sam didn't want to come here because she didn't want to get ill again. So I am not finished that season of Titans yet because me and Sam watch it together. So I haven't seen what happens at the end of that one, but I can tell you that they have renewed it for another season, and I hope that that is its last season. I love Titans, um, but Titans has always been an uneven show in terms of its in terms of its logic. I love it, but it's a bit shit, and I'm just hoping that they top it all off in the fourth season. But maybe they will, maybe they won't.
Yes, and hello to Sam. I hope you are feeling well out there. And Tape Drive Games, hello to you as well. And Mikey Lito gives a shout out to Julia. He says it's a wonderful watch, the documentary on her. And Latoya T says, yes, two killer looks on the night. Thank you, Latoya T. I absolutely am glad to see
I
your thoughts on that as well. Yes.
I want to know why Mikey Leo's prejudiced on Julia. You can't drop that. You can't just like tease. That's not cool.
That's a good point. Lugnut says Warner Brothers Discovery are going to be fun owners of the Warner Kingdom, including Turner Broadcasting. I have a feeling. Well, I sure hope. Well, that would be very interesting. I'm not quite sure what to say about that. Stubble says that he saw the Fury King. I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong
Kung
thing.
Fury.
He saw the Kung Fury feature will be released in 2022. It made me check out the short movie again. It still works. I wonder if a full-length feature is in the works as well. Do we know?
No, man, look, come on. Kung Fury, I think, is a testament to sort of like how you can achieve something like amazing to maybe get Arnold Schwarzenegger off a fucking thing that you did, a joke thing you did on YouTube, right? I don't know if you're familiar with this, or Kung Fury.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so it's basically a Scandinavian guy who's in the creator of this is a Scandinavian guy, kind of like in love with the 1980s. It's actually Kung Fury is where I first found synthwave, believe it or not, back in the day, and he
Oh,
made
wow.
this 80s style taking the piss trailer of 80s cop films, and it was all shot on computer generated backgrounds and all the rest of it. And the trailer was awesome, and it was oh god, it wasn't Laserhawk. I forget. Power Glove were doing the soundtrack to it, and I thought, I really love this music. And then I found that whole genre, and then he extended it into like a short movie where he goes back in time to kill Hitler, and ends up getting further back in time, and ends up in Viking times where they all look like it's just ridiculous. It's like it's a massive piss take, and it's really really great fun. But the trailer was better than the short, and I wonder to Stubble McShave's point, I'm wondering if the joke of Kung Fury, even with Hasselhoff and Schwarzenegger and all these people that are going to do it, can that sort of cheesy joke be sustained for a feature? Don't know.
It's a good question, and we have Six Scale Cantina in the house. Six Scale Cantina, Aries Tarrington, bringing us all the great news about the Star Wars fandom, as well as one Six Scale figures in his market chart show and the Aries Tarrington show. He says, and Russ, good morning. Tuning in now, and always a pleasure on a Sunday morning, baby. Well, here's some coffee to you, Aries Tarrington, because we know you love
Cup
your
of tea.
coffee in the morning. And guys, check out Aries Aries Tarrington Show, the Market Chart Show, and the Aries Tarrington Show on the Six Scale Cantina. It's always a wonderful and enjoyable thing to watch during the week. So make sure you check him out. And we also posted here the link to Latoya T's Coco Tulip link for her fantastic fashion designs, guys. Please go ahead and take a look at that as well. Tape drives, tape drive games. Gee, I didn't know there were tape drive games. But it sounds cool. I'm guessing it's kind of like, I remember those computer games where they would say, you see a wall and you have to type in turn right. And then it said, and then there's a ditch and you jump over it. And then, like, I wonder if that's tape drive games, but tape drive games, what a cool name. And it makes me think of these old school games that we used to play. So
Come with
I
a tape recorder.
absolutely.
You had a Commodore 64 or a Spectrum, and it
Yes.
would come on a cassette tape, and you'd have to put the cassette tape into the tape recorder, and then the computer would listen to it, and it would take hours and hours and hours, and eventually your game would get loaded onto your computer. The ones that you're talking about, certainly on the Commodore 64, the Scott Adams Adventures, north, 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 left, left, right, right, and
Yes.
then open door, jump through, and all that.
Yes.
They were cartridges you had to put in the back of your computer, or certainly they were on the Commodore 64.
All right. Well, I think I had the right era, but the wrong type of game, but similar in coolness.
Far be it for me to correct you, I was just merely hearkening back to the dim and distant past of the 1980s when everything was in black and white and I was younger.
Yes, no, I think that. I thank you for that. And you are welcome here, Tape Drive Games. Thank you. Rogue Thinker says Marvel did a Max line for more gritty adult comics. It was usually Blade or horror characters, although they did some Punisher and Wolverine. Midnight Suns was a darker team series. What was Vampira? Was she an adult version of it? Was she ever a comic book character? Am I saying the right? Vampirella.
Vampirella,
Vampirella.
she was I don't know if Marvel had the rights to Vampirella, but this might be it, Rogue. I might not have been Marvel Knights. It could have been something. I could be getting that completely wrong. We were talking about this new adult stuff that this theory. I might have that completely wrong, but the comic, there was a group of comics basically where they would go in to do more adult things. That might be it.
And Lugnut6 says on his last Golden Globes hosting gig, which would be the last under the Dick Clark Productions name, Ricky Gervais warned Hollywood what's to come. We warn you, oh Hollywood moguls, of what is to come. But they did not listen. Bloodsport 1 says, I wasn't feeling Moon Knight. And a lot of people have said this, Bloodsport 1, as well as I, that it felt like Venom. There was a Venom feel to Moon Knight. And Russ, I'm just really curious after you see it, whether you'll have that opinion. And Rogue Thinker says, although Marvel Knights was a Daredevil-based team, usually with Black Panther and Black Widow, not sure Blade or Black Knight ever turned up in that one. Unfortunately. Now, Paul in Long Beach says, what about an IROC? Car calendars say so. What is an IROC? What
Yeah,
is
I
that?
don't know. You'll have to extrapolate, Paul. Every time I see Paul in Long Beach, I just think of Iron Maiden's Live After Death album because that was done in Long Beach in 1985, and I can just hear him saying "Long Beach, California," all that sort of thing. So, thank you, the Iron Maiden memories.
Absolutely. No, I love Iron Maiden, and you make a good point. OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars. Yes,
Agree. Yeah,
brain.
yes.
um, so good to see you, OG fan. When Star Wars was just Star Wars, we remember those days, and it felt good. It felt
Mhm.
good to be a Star Wars fan then. Stubble McShave says between a rock and a hard.
Yeah, literally, right? That's the Eternals reference right there between a rock and a hard place. Yeah.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, that rock is hurting my back. OG fan Star Wars when Star Wars was just Star Wars. You don't understand. You're not a man. Use magic.
Your lust
Uh,
will hold you up. It's all right. Don't get us started. Otherwise, it's going to be wall to wall Excalibur quotes. Looking at the cakes like looking at the future.
and
Until you've
now on the
tasted it, what do
truck.
you really know? Yeah, right. So stop it. No, we're going to be here all night.
I should stop, right? You don't want me to continue. So MCP
Hey, man.
Scotty. Hey, hey, Art, and happy Sunday. Well, happy Sunday to you, MCP Scotty, who's a PGS member. I interviewed him for PGS All Stars. We're going to be seeing him soon on the Bird Network, guys. And we also have more comments. Oh, that is so sweet. Lugnut 6, is aptly named. She'll make any man's heart purr that. That is so
Mm.
kind of you, Lugnuts 6. I so appreciate your kind words. And with that being said, we have a comment from Rogue Thinker about another person in the news. One that I think was the most shocking news of the week,
Mhm.
Ezra Miller.
Yeah, Ezra Miller. Okay. So I guess there's a couple of things to talk about him. First of all, there's what's happened in the news. There's also stuff that's just surfacing today, to my knowledge, about the screenings of his movie, The Flash, which is coming out now in 18 months' time or whatever it is. So yeah, so he's got form, hasn't he, Ezra? 2 years ago, he got pissed up in Iceland, I think it was, not the freezer shop, but the country. And he came outside and he was asking this girl if she wanted to fight, and then he grabbed her around the throat and threw her on the floor. She was giggling and laughing the whole way through, and you could hear his mates going, "Fuck shit, dude, stop doing that." He was arseholed, and it didn't look to be malicious. But again, you shouldn't be going around doing stuff like that. Even if she was a willing participant, it looked really, really bad. Now he's gone to the pub in Jamaica. He's gone to a karaoke bar, and he's got arseholed in the karaoke bar, and he's shouting at some girl that's singing karaoke and grabbed the microphone off her, and then he's banged into people that are playing darts, and he got so bad that the bartender had to call the cops, and the cops then took Ezra Miller away and fined him $500 or $500 bail. But it didn't stop there. Ezra then proceeded to continue on the piss, and he was staying in somebody's house or in a shared complex, and went into these couples' bedroom and started threatening them and nicking their stuff. Obviously, completely hammered. So it's difficult to say, really, isn't it? Because if he's got a severe problem with alcohol or whatever, he's got a severe problem. Because I can't imagine this is him sober, right? Um, if he's got a problem, then yes, his actions are completely out of order. But he's also got an illness that needs to be checked. So I wait and see what happens there. I don't know what you think, Aram.
Well, I don't know whether he was alone at the time. I'm not quite sure what was going on with him, but for me personally, this might be a time where he would have needed someone to help him not make these choices. And it's okay to have your friends help you stop you from doing things that are really bad. Like it's okay for that.
Mm.
I don't know whether he'd have to have someone with him while he's going through this difficult time, but he certainly does need to have someone around him to help him make the right decision or stop him from doing things that he's going to regret later on, that have repercussions that essentially could just end him up in prison. And I don't think he's going to last very long in jail. I think that he'd have a very difficult time there. I don't even think he would last in treatment too long if it wasn't the right facility. Um, and it's, I fear for him, and I fear for anyone who comes into counter with him when he is having an episode or these
Well,
moments of.
you think he's a big dude. He's not as big as Ben Affleck, but he's still a very tall, imposing guy, because you have to be in the Justice League. You can't be a little fella and be in Justice League because they're giants. I mean, Henry Cavill's 6'1", Ben Affleck's 6'4", Manganiello's 6'5", and these are huge units. And you sort of look at the Flash, and he's up here, so he's probably 6 foot himself. So he's not a small chap. So you're absolutely right. If he is going through an episode, you probably don't want to be on the wrong side of it, grabbing the microphone and all that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, he may well have this illness and not be able to control himself under the influence, and I have some sympathy with that. But as with the other fella at the Oscars, there has to be some consequences for this. He can't be allowed to walk away scot free because of his identity and what he's chosen and all that kind of stuff. He was out of order. Drunk or not, he needs to be held accountable for it. And if not punished because he's got an illness, at least held accountable and get that illness sorted out. Because the truth of it is, if he keeps running, causing train wrecks, this is his second train wreck now that's been very, very highly publicized. How you got Zaslav coming in as head of Warner Brothers Discovery. You've got a Flash movie that's now been put back another 15 months or 18 months or whatever it is, and that Flash movie is dealing with a multiverse, which they're if the rumors are to be believed is nuts. But that could be your career, because if they can replace Henry Cavill, they sure as shit can replace you, mate. So you better watch it. So you might find that the Flash could end up disappearing into Flashpoint and coming out as a completely different Flash if you continue with this behavior. And maybe it's too late, and I hope not, because I really okay. I'm glad people can't throw shit at me. I kind of like his interpretation of Flash in Snyder Cut, so I thought he did a good job. He was certainly much less annoying than he was in Justice League. But yeah, so it's a sad situation. Um, yeah, I was going to talk about the Flash, but we got some stuff from Mikey Lito here. Well, we definitely need to see the ramifications from Eternals. So I'm fairly certain, Feige willing, we will see Eternals too.
And
Probably.
yeah, I can make a prediction about Eternals too.
Go on then.
The Celestial will emerge from the earth.
Is
I don't
that's
know.
all you want to see, isn't it? That's all you
Yes,
care about. That's all you care
that's
about.
all I care about.
I don't know. Maybe I just hoping that it'll get steamy between Angelina Jolie and Selma Hayek. That's my prediction for Eternals too. That would be
I'm
great, wouldn't
fine
it?
with that, but
I'm
I
fine with
want
that.
to
I'm
see
more than
nudity,
fine.
guys.
I'm
I
fine with it.
think, yeah, I want to see nudity. I think that we are old enough and mature enough to see some nudity and to see some very tasteful love scenes. And I also mean for the men as well. So there, I said it. Bloodsport One says, EDM NYC. What is a good spot in New York City for EDM? I would go with the Brooklyn Mirage, or Avant Gardner, both of which are in Brooklyn. My favorite place is Schmansky's in the city. So I would start there. And if you also want to go to some other good EDM places, just download the app called EDM Train, and it gives you any EDM located worldwide. So it'll just show
Was it
you.
and an information show service? What is there no bounds that you do not go beyond our room? I am so impressed. She can sing, she can dance, she can recommend. This is
Oh
cool
my gosh.
shit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And let us know which one you chose. Bloodsport One. We certainly do want to know how that went for you. Big Dog Pound says, I think Ezra Miller is done. And MCP Scotty says, I'm down for recasting him. What do you all think of Shia LaBeouf? I love that idea. And I think that could work. What do you think, Russ?
Too old, I think, for the iteration of Flash that they're trying to portray. Although it could be that he goes into Flashpoint and they fought out Jay Garrick or something like that. Then yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't know if Ezra Miller is done. To the other point, um, I hope he isn't. I hope this is just like a two off, and he gets himself sorted. If he's got alcoholism, then he needs a lot of help, and he's a young guy. And it'd be shit for alcoholism to ruin his career, because people who with alcoholism, they're not really in control of what they're doing, unfortunately. So I hope he gets himself sorted out. But that's not to say he shouldn't be held accountable for what he's done.
Yeah, and let's just hope he does get help. A lot of times getting your foot in the front door, taking that first step is the hardest for so many people.
Mm,
And, let's just put out some support there. We want him to get help. We want him to get well, or as well as he can be. And, a lot of times they'll say, oh, this is a wake-up call for this, actor or
mm.
actress. Let's just hope that this, kind of turns, let's hope this is a point where he can turn his life around and kind of put these things in the past for him, and go forward with not even the career, but just his life. Thank you so much, OG Star Wars, when Star Wars was just Star Wars. He's so kind for that. And Mikey Lito says that the documentary Julia was directed by Julia Cohen and Betsy West, the directors of My Name is Pauli Murray, which is a documentary of Mikey Lito's aunt, Pauli Murray.
Which is
And
why he's biased, which is why he was saying
yes,
he's
and
got
they
some
also
skin in the game. Thank you, Mikey.
yes, they also directed, I can't remember the woman's name. She was a Supreme Court judge.
Mhm.
And they directed her documentary as well. But guys, check out My Name is Pauli Murray, which is on Amazon, and it is such a profound documentary of an incredible American, Pauli Murray, who has done so much for equal rights in the United States. Everybody, My Name is Pauli Murray is the name of the documentary. Six Scale Cantina says hello to everybody again. Hello, Six Scale Cantina. We just so enjoy having you here. Um, and okay, have I actually caught up? No, I haven't. Not even close. Now, this is a very good question. Um, let's see. Um, Bloodsport asks, have you seen Morbius? And the answer to that is no, I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Russ?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. We haven't seen Morbius.
But I
But
want
I
to. I'm excited to see it. And I was really disappointed when I heard everyone giving it a kick, and I just thought, oh no, it can't be as bad as all that. But as I say, the initial sort of outcry of hatred has suddenly sort of seemed to stop, and now I'm seeing more and more headlines go, you know what, it's not bad actually. I don't know what, where's all the hate coming from? And these second wave articles saying no, 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 it seems to be okay. I'm not sure what the Rotten Tomatoes score is, but I'd be surprised if the fan score wasn't high and the critic score was low. So yeah, but I do want to see it. I do. I see. I used to buy the Morbius reprints here when I was young. We used to get them in little pocketbooks, and so had the original Spider-Man #1 all the way through, and all that sort of thing. Of course, they weren't the originals, which are worth billions of dollars. They were little reprints. And Morbius came out, and I really fell in love with the character. I really, really enjoyed it. So I was keen to see what they were going to do with it. And I do like Jared Leto as well. I think he's a strange guy, but undoubtedly a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant actor.
Jared Leto seems so sweet, like such a sweetheart. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased towards him, but he seems like such a sweet guy. Um, and Mikey Leto did inform us that it is doing pretty well in the box office.
What
Um,
Morbius?
yes. Yes, Morbius has done 39 million domestically and 84 million. That's not bad for an opening weekend.
So
That's
opening
pretty.
weekend, yeah, it's kind of done better than anybody was saying on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday.
And Mikey Leo says he gives it a C plus. I think that this is going to be one of those films where there's going to be a lot of mixed opinions about it. I've heard people praise it, and I trust Mikey Leo and I tend to have the same taste. So if he's giving it a C plus,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mikey, I heard Paulie talking about this on your show on Friday. I think you'd left, and I think someone was giving it a bit of a kick in. I think it might have been Tom, and Paulie was like, "Well, yeah, it's kind of scary. I had a good time." He said, "I had a good time, but it's not. Is it a good film? Yeah, it's good. Is it a great film? Absolutely not. So, C minus or C plus, B minus, something like that. I think that's probably fair from what I've heard. But and I kind of go with Paulie because I like his take on things. So yeah, I can't wait to see it, Mikey. To be honest with you,
yeah, me too. I'm eager to see it. And Big Dog Pound says, why not cast Timothy Chalamet
great
as the
shout,
Flash?
great
Oh
shout. If
my
they were going to do it,
gosh.
that is a great shout.
And Tape Drive Games, I just want to mention Tape Drive Games, what they had posted. I sure hope I can find it. Where is it? About the types of games that they do. They said they're developing an old school game inspired by Might and Magic, World of Zine, for old school ROG lovers. I love that. Best of luck to you, Tape Drive Games. Guys, check out Tape Drive Games. If you're
Mm.
interested in old school style gaming, certainly do check
Lords of
that
Midnight was
out.
my favorite one. I used to love that. Lords of Midnight on the
Oh,
Commodore
wow. It
64.
it sounds amazing. Was that the one I'm talking about where you had to turn right and left?
No, those were Scott Adams' adventures, but you did have to do the same thing. But this had graphics, and it was like the first. It was like a massive world, and to do that in 64K was pretty clever. But it just kept repeating the same thing over and over again. But at the time, it was, computer graphics like we'd never seen before, and so on and so on.
Wow, and I loved those games that I was playing. It reminded me of Choose Your Own Adventure, but just
Mhm.
like in a somewhat not as lengthily written out, but still a lot of fun. Six Scale Cantina from the Market Show. Aries Tarrington says, "Is it possible Star Wars when Star Wars was just Star Wars? Is it possible that we get some Hot Toys news this morning?" And of course, OG Star Wars replies, "I say yes, Star Trooper transport drop, in my opinion." So it's so much fun having you guys here. Um, uh, Tom Jr. Jackson says Vampirella was a TV horror host.
But she
Yes.
was in comics, Tom, I think. I'm sure I can remember it. I can see it in my mind's eye. But it kind of had that fiery writing, Vampirella, sort of like that. And am I just imagining that? But I can see it anyway.
Well, I brought up Vampirella because of her sexual nature. Um, and I also think that that she is a beautiful vampiress, if you will.
Mm.
And if we can get a very intriguing, deeply thinking Dr. Morbius who turns into a vampire, why can't we get an equally deeply thinking, sexually provocative vampiress in Vampirella?
Well, we had
So
Kate
that was
Beckinsale.
my
That she was enough for me. Kate Beckinsale, Celine, come on. We did only three shows on that.
Yes, it was, and you're right, and we need to finish the rest of that, but,
We do.
no, Kate Beckinsale did a wonderful job. I'm just trying to explore, a more adult theme, but you're
Mm,
right,
mm.
it was a wonderful performance, and please do check out, our, Underworld reviews here on Positive Fandom and on the Burr Network, which is gonna come out later on, and, okay, Catavino Cavalryman Che asks, how much change could Robert Meyer Burnett make in Star Trek by accepting a position working for them? Or do they just want to limit what he can say? Well, I can't answer that.
Do you know,
You'd
it's
have to ask
interesting.
Robert.
It's interesting. There was a job that came up there, and he didn't apply for it. He was banging on about it, and I remember he was talking about it on his show. And he should have applied. He could have got it. That would have been awesome, and he could have got in there and done it, perhaps. But you might have nailed it there, Cavalryman. In that, I think that the current creators of Star Trek have all but said they have actually said that this is a platform for getting across their political agenda. Like they've actually said, I'm not making that up. They've said that this is what they're doing with those shows. So I imagine that Rob's purity of view of Star Trek probably wouldn't land well with Kurtzman and Co. That's just my take on it.
Mhm. And I didn't make a comment because I don't know how to answer the question. Robert has to answer it. It's too complicated. I'm sure there are some other considerations that I can't think of, like in Robert's specific case, even though I do know him pretty well. I can't answer for him. But all I am going to say is that it would be great if he got a job on
Oh,
Star
it'd be
Trek.
sick. It'd be awesome. But I just don't think they'd like what he has to say because he loves it too much. He loves it so much, and he wants to do the right thing by it. And I don't think that would sing with the narrative that the current rights holders, his vision and their visions are sort of like that, aren't they? So, oh, I
Sorry,
can't hear.
they certainly are, and I just hope that going forward, there things happen in degrees, and going forward, maybe that will change.
Mm,
It's been a very unusual time for entertainment over the past 10 years, and I sure hope that going forward, things will change, not just for that franchise, but for all other franchises, making it somewhat different. We could use a change in the franchise approach right
mm,
now, as far as
mm.
I'm concerned. Stubble Mashave must be referring to Ezra
Ezra
Miller's
Miller, yeah, yeah. Thanks,
height there,
Double.
and Stubble is 6'4".
He's a big dude. He could be in the Justice League too.
He could be. So, and you guys had a lot to say about Ezra Miller. Um, uh, this is something, Rogue, that really disturbs me, and it's kind of something that is disturbing. And I just also want to say hello to BK Panther. If I didn't say hi to you, Hello to you, BK Panther. We know you are here, and we so appreciate
Thank you so
um,
much.
your comments about whether he can function and make decisions. This is a question, and something to think about going forward. But Rogue Thinker goes on to say, even accusations of things that he's done to destroy the careers
Have
of
destroyed the
other.
careers of other actors. So what is the um, inference there that other people have done less and not gotten away with it? I guess, yeah, you could be right. I'm trying to think of an example, but I don't disagree with you, Rogue. I just, yeah, I think someone else is making a point that he can go and make movies, and so I've got no sympathy for him. I just don't think alcoholism works like that. Oh, I'm dodging. Thank you, Rogue, for throwing my. I liked it. All right. Yeah, yeah. You can. Yes, you can get it together to make a movie, but then if he's under the influence of alcohol or drugs or whatever it is, then he'll could lose all control, and it's that those it's not necessarily he's doing one at the same time as the other. So um but as I say, he needs to face the consequences, but if he's sick, then he needs help.
Michaelito says, positive fandom, you had me laughing, RE Eternals, too, because that's what's going to happen, Michaelito, because if they don't do that, if they just let the Eternals, like, part of his head and hand out, I'm going to like, no, I don't think so. He has to emerge. Or else, I'm sorry, the
I'm still thinking
Celestial.
about Angelina Jolie and Selma Hayek. That's what I want out of the Eternals too. Now that you mention it,
Well, I would be fine with any pairing of any one of those actors. I don't care who it is. They all look fantastic. And I think it would be very interesting to see a pairing like that going forward. Certainly, no more rock love scenes.
mm.
That's all I was going to say. And Bloodsport One says, "I'm in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Mirage. I'm sure you know where that may be. It has a nice
I've been to
view."
Brooklyn. I've been to Brooklyn. I was in Bay Ridge.
Oh, nice. Bay Ridge is a nice area. And you will know where the Brooklyn Mirage is. It looks like a 1930s movie set for a Egyptian movie, the Brooklyn Mirage. So you'll see it. There's an outdoor section, and then I think right next door is Avant Gardner, which you would like both of them during the summer when they open up in May. They're going to have their, which is soon. It's going to be soon. They're going to have their outdoor shows, and it is so much fun. You will love it if you haven't already been there. And Gee, can you believe it's been an hour and 45 minutes? Russ, I
I know
can't.
he didn't even get to talk about the Flash. Uh, Stubble says he thinks that Ezra's done in the Harry Potter thing. I think you're right. They're fucking ruthless, aren't they? They got rid of Johnny Depp pretty quickly. So I think, yeah, you might be right on that one as well.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but they should have kept Johnny. Like, I would never get rid of Johnny Depp. I'm like, how many millions do you need? Okay, fine. Here you go.
Mm, mm.
Let's just keep him on here. Six Scale Cantina, Aries Tarrington, says, did you both hear that Danny Glover sort of hinted on Jimmy Kimmel that he's starring in the upcoming Lando series? I also heard Forrest Whitaker and Ben Mendelsohn are in Andor.
Hang on,
Certainly we hope.
hold
I'm
on.
sorry.
Wasn't Donald Glover Lando in the film in Han Solo?
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
yeah. So I don't get it, Six Scale. Like, if there's a Lando show and he's Lando, then, or was it like he wasn't going to be Lando and someone else is going to be Lando, and now he said no, 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 it's
Well, they're
definitely me.
saying that there's a Lando series has just been announced, so to speak, or
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't
rumoring.
know. Right, so this is a new thing, because I know they
Yes.
announced they had that big fandom, not fandom. I forget what Disney call it, but they announced like a billion different shows, didn't they? The Rogue Squadron and this and that. And I'm thinking of Andor, so Lando wasn't one of those. Okay, sorry, apologies. I got
No,
it.
no worries. You're all good. Certainly, Aries, we're certainly hoping to get more information at Star Wars Celebration this year, which takes place late in May. And hopefully there'll be an announcement there about who will be starring as Lando. And it makes sense to have him as Lando. I think he's a
Absolutely.
wonderful Lando, and I think going forward it'll be amazing. Forrest Whitaker reprising his role from Rogue One would be spectacular as well. I'm assuming he's going to be the same character he was in Rogue One. So let's see what happens. we're certainly waiting for that announcement. I think they are going to wait till May for the Andor announcement, but I think it will be very interesting for sure. And what was I going to say? Um, Bloodsport says erotic horror. Yes, I guess that's what I'm erotica horror. I guess that's what I am referring to.
The
Um,
hunger.
yes, something like that. Yeah, someone is asking about The Hunger and Hellraiser. Hellraiser is one of my favorite movies, not because not because of the horror, but because of the depths this man goes through for this, to like have this affair that he's having.
Yeah, he'll pretty much
like
pretty much go all the way. I've got a fun Hellraiser fact. After the first three Hellraisers, they sort of went direct to DVD. One of the Hellraiser movies, and I think it's the sixth one, stars Lance Henriksen, Catherine Winnick, and Henry Cavill, all in a Hellraiser movie, which is kind of weird. Before they were famous, it
really,
yeah, it's oh god,
Henry Cavill is in a Hellraiser film.
fuck yeah, and Catherine Winnick.
I'm gonna
And
have to look
and
into
and
this.
the guy that voiced Green Lantern in the animated universe. I think he's in it as well. But certainly Lance Henriksen is the big bad, and it's I can't remember the name of it, but basically these kids, they're all addicted or hooked on this like online computer game, and of course it's really really 90s, like all the graphics and all that kind of thing. And they're invited to a party held by Lance Henriksen, who's the manufacturer or the maker of the game, but it's all to do with him taking revenge on them for something. But yep, Henry Cavill.
Interesting. No, I'm gonna have to check it out as soon as we end this episode. Um, and Holy Hand Grenade says Ezra's does not play Barry. I don't know what that Flash is supposed to be, but he is not Barry at all to him. Okay. Ezra sucks massive equine testicles. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your opinion, Holy Hand
You know what,
Grenades.
Holly? I think you might be right. Okay, now obviously I have a strong bias, and everybody knows that. It might be that he's more Wally West than Barry Allen. I'll give it that. But I liked I like that take. I love that universe. So I find it hard to pick holes in it. But uh, yeah, maybe more Wally West than Barry Allen, who's a bit more of a straight arrow. But then again, you need a team dynamic, which begs the question: why didn't they go with Wally West? I guess because people would have said, "No, we want Barry Allen." But you need a kind of they needed the two kids in that particular family with Daddy Batman and Uncle Superman and Mummy Wonder Woman and the kids trying to do their thing. That's kind of the dynamic they've got going on there. But yeah, good point.
And Holy Hand Grenades, we so appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us. We do appreciate it.
Mm.
BK Panther says, I think Lando in the Solo movie was the only good piece of that movie. He played Lando well. Yes, he did play
Okay,
Lando.
okay. All right, I liked it. Like I'm coming down on the Paulie thing here. Was it a great movie? No. Was it a good movie? Did I have fun? Yeah, fuck it. Had Woody Harrelson. I liked the guy playing Han Solo was charming. And Amelia Clark was good in the film. And oh god, the British guy, the ginger haired guy, Vision actor that was in it as the baddie.
Yeah, I know who you're
Uh,
talking about.
yeah, oh god, he was awesome, man. He was just, they just gave him a scenery sandwich. Like he just literally, he was just eating the scenery as he was fucking fantastic. So yeah, it was. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I wouldn't rush to watch it again. A bit like Green Lantern, which I did watch last week. But it was okay. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Put it that way. So yeah.
And Luminar843 is with us today. Hello,
Hello,
Luminar.
Luminara.
Luminar843, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. Luminar is an active member of the community, a 1/6 scale man expert. We can see her posing her 1/6 scale figures often on the 1/6 scale network, as well as many others. Thank you so much, Luminar843, for being with us today. And evil face bad,
Hello, mate.
New Landon, let's go. Can't wait on that.
Let's go, Landon.
Yeah.
Let's go, Lando. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. I have to say that today's discussion was absolutely amazing. You guys were incredible. I enjoyed this discussion so much. I always enjoy hearing from you all out there. Um, your thoughts and your concerns. You take care, Stubble McShave.
Cheers,
So
double.
wonderful seeing you. Paul Bettany, thank you. Tom Jr.
Thank you,
Jackson.
Tom Junior Jackson.
Ah,
Yes, awesome. Yeah, that's it. That would have
Paul
been annoying.
Bettany.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Wow, that really did feel there. It was like, oh, thank you.
Mm.
We so appreciate you, Tom Jr. Jackson, for your collaboration and for being a mod. And we are all good people. Russ, where can people find you?
Oh, just here really. I'm on Facebook if you care to look me up on that, and I've got a website which is russellwhitfield.com where you can send me an email if you want to shout at me some more. But yeah, I'm not really active on Twitter or anything like that. In fact, I only opened up my Twitter for one reason, and I can guess you can guess what that reason was. So I don't really use it for anything else other than that.
Okay, well, and of course, you can always leave a message here for Russ if you wish to get in
But
contact with him.
before we go, Mikey
Yes.
Leo informs us, as does Tom, that Henry Cavill was in Hellraiser Hellward, a direct-to-video release now streaming on Cinemax or Skinemax. Um, but yeah,
Skinemax?
that's what they used to call it, right?
Yes.
Um, where can the good parishioners of Positive Fandom find you if you are not in this parish?
Yes, if you're not, obviously you can find me in Positive Fandom either on YouTube or Twitch. But on Mondays, you can find me on Toxic Femininity at 8 p.m., streaming with Lorraine Creole, Nina Infinity, and Mandy Summers. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, sometimes you can find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network on Say What or Uncivilized Scoundrels. You can often find me streaming with Lorraine Creole on our Reacher series and other projects on Friday afternoons. You can find me on Midnight's Edge at 12 p.m. Eastern with Tom and Andre and Cameron Pasha. Friday nights, you can see me streaming with Robert Meyer Burnett on the Burnett Work, and you can find my PGS All Stars and PGS review shows there as well. And on Sunday, you can join me for this show. Uh,
Aw.
Positive Fandoms, Parley, where we talk all the good stuff in the fandom. And I'm always here with Russ, who joins me as well. Guys, it's been so great, everybody in the chat, to see you all today.
Thank
We
you so
so
much.
enjoy it. I wish everybody well. It's been such a pleasure today. And for all of you who are out there, wherever you may be out there in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind.
See you later, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care.